because I keep going off the rails. The reason Dragon Age failed, and the reason the vast majority of people are not wanting to admit, is because of the fact that the game was boring. The storyline was shit. They hand-fisted a bunch of politics into it. They banged everybody over the head going on about barbs and push-ups and I'm non-binary now, and made the character look like a rifle. See you next Tuesday. I saw the clip with her sitting down with her mum, and I thought, holy dooly, there is not a belt in the world big enough that I want to whack her with right now because of the way that she is carrying on. We're going to go through it. I'll show you. So it's this clip here.
Here, vegetables.
Thank you.
So, I'm non-binary.
Who the fuck starts a
By the way, this fucking...
conversation like that? I just sat down.
That's pretty much how everybody thought, by the way.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
Now, listen to the way that she talks there. She sounds like a rife old see you next Tuesday. I tell you what, and by the way, this is the full clip. Yeah,
this is where we eat.
I see.
Shathan, it's good to see you again.
My child wished to show me where she now lived.
I made food. Here, this cup. Made it myself.
And do you have powdered ginger for the table?
I'll go get some.
You are not good enough for my child.
I haven't heard any complaints.
Without
So, I'm non-binary.
I act.
Here's the ginger.
Thank you.
So, I'm non-binary.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
If this is because I have criticized your dress or your manners...
It isn't!
Under the Cune, the term for one whose gender does not match the one given to them at birth was a cunithlok. Perhaps you are like that.
Why do you have to keep picking at it? Why can't you just be happy for me?
Evatosh, Chakra Toebra.
So I'm supposed to struggle with who I am? Even if I don't feel like I fit, even if I feel wrong?
No, you misunderstood.
Then say it better! Why am I never...
Hang on. Sorry, that was my spine leaving. It's so fucking cringy. This whole scene. This scene depicts why this game failed. The mother is literally saying to her, hey, we have a term for that. It's called this. And she's like, why can't you just be happy for me? And she's sounding like a see you next Tuesday. I can't believe, if this was my child that sounded like this, they would be getting a backhand. And instead, don't get me wrong, the mother has some issues. The mother is obviously very judgmental. I know I have parents too, right? Every kid has it. But at the end of the day, this is not how you speak to your mum, especially considering the fact that she's trying to explain to you that you have a term. We have a term for that. It's just whatever the fuck it is, right? But at the end of the day, she's such a see you next Tuesday, she can't sit there and be like, oh yeah, not a problem, I will use that term. Instead, no, she has to get on her friggin' soapbox and lecture her mum about how she can't be happy for her. And this is why the game failed. At the end of the day, it was shit writing. The writing was so bad, it makes my spleen want to crawl up my throat, out my mouth, and run a marathon away from me. It is so frigging cringy. And all the people, your Jason Schreiers and all of them that write these long-winded articles and not once touch on this sort of stuff, are doing it to cover for Bioware. He knows full well that the reason this game failed was because someone decided to wrap up a 4v2 with a lovely politics bow and start whamming people over the head with it. And then when people turned around and said, I don't know if I like necessarily getting whacked over the head with a lump of 4v2 with politics bow, they turned around and said, have some more for fun, you're gonna like it. There is a reason why they always say to people, do not discuss religion, politics, or sex at a table in a polite company. The reason is because it's boring. People don't want to talk about it. My job, not going into details, but my job, I have to be around people every day of the week. I have to sit there and I have to talk to people. I have to interact with people. I am very big when it comes to PR. I know PR. Yes, there are times when we do talk about politics, especially considering I used to be, well, still am I suppose, an independent journalist, right? I've covered it for years. But guess what? The amount of people that want to talk about that stuff is probably about 10%. The other 90% would rather hang themselves with their belt buckle than listen to me or you or anybody else go on about politics. And then when you go through and you not only have your drops your base down to 10%, but then you start going on about LGBTQ plus all this alphabet soup of people, guess what? That 10% shrinks further to about 2 or 3%. That is why your game failed. Woke does not make a game shit. But every shit game is woke. Because at the end of the day, it's politics. They can't help it. They're so ingrained in this. We've got to. It's the Anesia Sarkeesian at the was it the UN?
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
That is the problem that all of these people have, is they have lived and died by that sword. That everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic. By the way, she's got trans. Everything is transphobic. You've got to mention it. You've got to, every time you get, you know these people, right? You automatically know who they are. You're around someone and all of a sudden it's toxic masculinity or misogyny or whatever it may be, right? These people. And guess what? The vast majority of people are like, well, this is a boring conversation, and they walk off. And guess what? When it comes to games, they don't buy your slop because they're sick of it. There's a reason why we're not talking about heavy politics or even politics at all in the game that I'm making. Yeah, I'm an indie dev. Yeah, the game is probably going to be fucking glitchy, it's probably gonna be janky, but guess what? The storyline is not political. It is a standard good versus evil, dark fantasy. World is on the cliff face. The demons are coming. There's an evil presence that wants to take over this world and corrupt it and twist it into a nightmare. And it's you and your guardians are standing in the doorway with nothing more than a sword and an axe. You know what we don't have? Lectures about pronouns. We're not going to sit there and go, well, you know, I'd like to really think that the darkness and the corruption that takes over this world, or is trying to take over this world, I wonder if it's a they, them, or a she, he, or a he, or a she, or an attack helicopter that makes whoosh, whoosh, whoosh noises. Because guess what? It's trying to kill everything and take over the universe. We don't give a shit what pronouns it wants. And that's the point. That's what these games are missing so much. People don't care about this shit. People don't want politics in their games. Yes, your game can still fail if it's not woke. Yes. Because it might have a shit storyline, or it might be glitchy or buggy or whatever it may be. But you can tell you now, the vast majorities of these games that do fail, they are woke. And I'm sure it has to come with funding. I am sure BlackRock is sitting there saying to you, you know, EA, we'd like to give you $500 million to build the new Dragon Age The Veilguard, but at the end of the day, we don't see enough trans people in the game. And guess what? If any company comes up and says that to me, you know what's going to be my response? Zink! Helicopter dick! And then walk off. Because I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. I don't want politics in my game, and the vast majority of people out there don't. Yes, by the way, I really did pull my pants down and do a helicopter thing. But at the end of the day, that's the point. At the end of the day, I'm sure it's coming from these higher up. It's these BlackRocks, and it's, yes, EA is probably pushing it and everything like that too. But guess what? Guess who has the final say? The people making the game. If EA sits there and says to Bioware, we want to make sure you put politics in your game, and Bioware says, fuck you, not doing it, guess what? EA can't do it, because EA isn't the one that codes the freaking game. So at the end of the day, the buck has to stop with Bioware. They're the ones that wrote the story. They're the ones that hand-fisted all the politics into it. They're the ones that made it so that the art style is like someone decided to pop a bunch of acid, shit it out, and then do a great big ape style, flinging shit at the monitor style, and see what sticks, because that's what it looks like. It looks shocking. The vast majority of people that I've watched that have talked about Bioware, Dragon Age, they love the original trailer. It was dark, it was gritty, it was dark fantasy. By the way, if you love that, well, stay tuned. But at the end of the day, when they finally got it, it was a bait and switch. Instead of getting hordes of undead zombies and skeletons and whatnot, we got pronouns. And that's why it failed. Because people didn't want it. And yeah, sure, them hand selecting a few people to send out the copies to, yeah, probably did some damage. Them going through and, you know, making it look like it was like taking acid and shitting it and throwing it at the screen probably did some damage. But the biggest thing I saw was the politics into it. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. The video has been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'm going to go try it and put more landmass in my game because we actually do want to make a dark fantasy that isn't full of politics. And to be honest, between you and me, I'm kind of glad Bioware fucked up because otherwise it would have made my game a lot harder. Have a good night.